Golbat up shields, looking to sweep. The opponent brings in the final Pokemon, which is the flying toilet Pelipper. We go for a charge move priority. The opponent fires the Weather Ball. We return fire with the Hail Mary, but does the opponent respect the damage? They do not. They near get one shot. The opponent brings back out Trevenant, still hanging on to one shield. And in case they didn't get the memo, hashtag I'm not baiting. So, welcome back to home of Shadow Pokemon. It's almost been a whole week without me posting. And as you can tell by my voice, that is because I've been super ill. So if I sound husky, I can only apologise. But we're finally going to make a return to YouTube, running, in my opinion, the strongest triple Shadow team for the Open Greatly. You've got to go Shadow Swampert. He needs no introduction. With my two poison types in the back. Drapion, the channel mascot, an absolute monster. And Golbat is the absolute sleeper pick in the entire meta. Without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game one, we see that Bear Trap in the lead. The opponent brings in Sableye. We look to do some chip damage or gain a shield advantage. We do gain shield advantage. We pivot out into Drapion, making a catch at a very random time, but I absolutely am going to take that. Drapion tanks the foul play, no problem whatsoever, and we are going to return fire with the crunch fishing for the ever important defense shot. We don't get the defense shot, but we do land it for big damage. The opponent is going to fire off another foul play. Can we survive the Shadow Claws? Yes, we can. We go for a charge move priority event. The opponent wins CMP, and as they're already down one shield, I'm happy to invest this to keep the correct alignment. Is the opponent willing to commit the final shield? Yes, they are. So the opponent has now got no shields remaining. Sableye now in absolute perfect mud shot farm down range. Swampert leaves absolutely loaded. The opponent's final Pokemon is the flying toilet. We show Golbat. The opponent brings back out Stunfisk. You might be thinking this is a dreadful matchup, but Shadow Golbat doesn't care about no Galarian Stunfisk. We tank the first rock slide over farm, fire off the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is going to do 50% of the HP. The opponent is going to have to fire off one more charge move. They don't. We fire off on CMP. This Shadow Ball is going to knock out. When Pelipper does return, they're going to need to throw a charge move. They do not. Golbat absolutely going off. Poison Fang is going to debuff the opponent's defense. They're already in Hydro Cannon range, but the defense drop is just the icing on the cake. And Swampert is a Pelipper counter confirmed. GG's, and thanks for playing. Moving on to the next battle, we see Metachan in the lead. How I like to play this matchup, I throw the Hydro Cannon on 7, and then I look to pivot into Drapion, hoping the opponent spams out the Psychic. Let's see if we are successful. The opponent actually shields it up, and we're unsuccessful in the catch, but we have got shield advantage. I am calling no dynamic punch, and the opponent just goes for the Ice Punch. The super tanky Drapion tanks it, no problem whatsoever. The opponent fires off a second Ice Punch. Now make a pivot out into Dunsparce. Interesting. I don't really see too many of this Dunsparce, but shout out Rise to the Occasion, who did use this in a video. So that's maybe where the opponent got the team idea from. We land the second crunch. This gets Dunsparce super low. The opponent realizes they can't roll out, farm us all the way down, so they fire off the Drill Run, which is a beautiful spot for us to be in. As they've already committed one shield, I can come in with Swampert, shield once and commit to the Mudshot farm. That is pretty much nothing in this meta. Fancy Swampert with a whole shit ton of energy. Let's see what the opponent wants to bring out. The opponent brings in Lickitung, so I am going to start unleashing Hydro Cannons. After Hydro Cannons, the first one does some nice chip damage. The opponent now pivots out into Metachan, and I'm going straight for the Hail Mary, going for the Earthquake. The opponent commits the final shield. We still have one shield remaining. We are going to shield up what could be a potential Psychic. The opponent goes just for an Ice Punch, but Golbat now is double resisting these counters, and we return fire with the Shadow Ball. It's going to be Night-Night, Sleep type Metachan, and when Lickitung does return, they really aren't going to be able to output enough damage. Golbat super annoying with the Poison Fang, so these wing attacks are going to start chunking. Poison Fang gets them into the yellow. Golbat, not the bulkiest, but Body Slam isn't quite going to cut it. We still have around 40% HP remaining, and the opponent says, fuck that, and concede the match. Moving on to the next one. It's like deja vu. We see another Metachan in the lead, so I'm going to fire off on 7 and make a pivot into my Drapion. Does this opponent commit another early shield? No, they do not, and this time we are successful in catching. Please tell me we catch the Psychic, and of course it's a bait. The opponent now pivots out into Registeel, which is absolutely perfect for me, as Golbat doesn't really like the Registeel matchup. Drapion, not the worst here. We fire off the first crunch. The opponent fires off the energy. As soon as they get it, I am going to allow Drapion to go down. I can come in with Swampert. I can fire off 7 mud shots. Before firing off a charge move, I'm looking at Registeel's HP. Hydro Cannon does around 47%, so I am going for the safe play of the Earthquake to guarantee the knockout Earthquake returns Registeel to its Pokeball. And let's see what the opponent wants to do. The opponent brings in a Wall Raid, and we are in somewhat of trouble. I count to 5, fire off 1 more Earthquake on a CMP type Earthquake, draws a shield. Surely Golbat can't clean up. Well, we're going to try our best regardless. Icicle Sphere takes us out. It's now Golbat up shields versus the World Wall Rain. It's hitting us for super effective, and as they are a shadow variant, these powder snows are really starting to punish us. The opponent isn't in Poison Fang range, so I count to 5. Throw the Shadow Ball on a CMP type. This either guarantees a knockout or the final shield the opponent does commit. The final shield, you can now see that the wing attack damage is ripping them apart. I'm going to count to 4. Throw the Poison Fang just before they get to the next charge move. The opponent actually makes what they think is a great catch, but my big brain sees the chance for an undercharge. We are double resisting counter. We survive on 1 HP and a dream. Leave with the move. Wall Rain, you sir, are about to get punished by the wrath of Golbat. GG's and thanks for playing. Moving on to the next battle. See Altaria in the lead. Dreadful for Swampert. Our backline doesn't even have the best matchups. This is a real core breaker for the team. Immediate pivot into Drapion, and we are hard countered with Galarian Stunfisk. We go for the crunch, fishing for the defense drop. We don't get it. The opponent does need to Earthquake to take us out. As always, we call the bait, and lucky for me, the opponent thinks they are a master baiter. I make a bit of a misplay thinking they were 1 short of the next rock slide. I don't get the crunch off, which is absolutely brutal. As if we landed the crunch, we could quite possibly mudshot farm them all the way down. I am going to bring back out Swampert. I am going to go for the Hydro Cannon just before the opponent makes the Earthquake, and the opponent chooses to shield. Interesting. Swampert absolutely dead weight against Altaria, so I have no intention of shielding up. The opponent actually baited me with a rock slide. They bring back out Altaria, making a great catch of the Hydro Cannon. We've now got 2 shield Golbat versus the World Dragon Breath ripping through us. I am going to shield up absolutely everything. And to be honest, we need to land the Shadow Ball. I overfarm as much as physically possible and fire off the Shadow Ball, really hoping the opponent lets it go, which they do. Can we sweep with Golbat? They bring back out Stunfisk. Fire off a charge move immediately. I am going to commit my final shield as we've got a whole boatload of residual energy. I don't think there's any point in baiting, so I go straight for the Shadow Ball. Imagine the opponent will let it go and they actually shield it up. You hate to see it. So apparently sometimes you can be a master baiter. The opponent takes me out with a rock slide. We bring out our Swampert and it's a zoom roll in the back. You hate to see it. We're going to land the Earthquake just because I like to throw an Earthquake, and then very quickly top left. GG's to that opponent. Moving on to the next battle. This time we see their bear trap exactly where we want to see it aligned. With our Swampert, the opponent attempts to catch a Hydro Cannon on the Trevenant, so guess what? I'll attempt to catch the Seed Bomb on my Drapion just to return the favour. The opponent does fire off the Seed Bomb on our Drapion, and Drapion tanks it like an absolute boss. I then return fire with the Crunch. Crunch would be lethal from this range. The opponent chooses to commit the first Protect Shield. I've got no intentions of shielding up Drapion. They need to Shadow Ball to take me out, but they go for another Seed Bomb, so Drapion hangs on, returns fire with Crunch number 2, and the opponent is now all shields down. The opponent is looking not to Shadow Claw us down, so this is beautiful. I'm just going to allow Drapion to go down. I can now come in with Golbat, shield once, and commit to an aggressive wing attack farm down. After waiting out my timer, we send in the Golbat. I am going to have to shield up the potential Shadow Ball, as it will near one shot. Even if the opponent baits, they won't make another. The opponent not wanting to get farmed down, go for the wham bam combo play. Throw in the rock side, Golbat tanks it. I continue to overfarm, then go for the snipe. We've got the Earthquake locked and loaded. High Stunfisk by Stunfisk. If the opponent brings back out their low health Trevenant, I would probably be able to mudshot farm them all the way down. And the opponent actually is running double grass, so Swampert not looking in the best spot to close. However, Hydro Cannons do add up on absolutely everything. We are going to fire off another Hydro Cannon. I'm just going to allow Swampert to go down and put faith in my low health Golbat. Cleaning up, the opponent goes for what should be an energy ball. I am going to allow it to go down. Poison Fang is super effective. However, Shadow Ball does do more raw damage, so I go straight for the Shadow Ball. Go for a cheeky undercharge, looking to leave with the move. The opponent realizes what I plan to do, but we have residual energy. Poison Fang takes care of Trevenant. We are resisting the Fairy Winds, and Golbat, on a sliver of health, manages to clutch up that game. Wow, I was sweating. Moving on to the next one. We see Trevenant this time in the leader pivot into Drapion, and of course the opponent answers with Galarian Stunfisk. Trevenant, Stunfisk core, super common. It's great when you catch it in the right order, and pretty dreadful when you see it in the wrong one. However, Drapion always puts in work. The opponent lets me get off both crunches this time before firing off a charge move. There's no point in shielding up Drapion as the opponent has farmed up past the Earthquake. They full send the Earthquake. You hate to see it. That does mean the opponent is going to actually outpace Swampert, firing off another Earthquake. Earthquake is going to land for huge damage. I am going to look to commit to the very aggressive farm down. We do get the farm down. I'm spamming out Golbat. The opponent sends back out Trevenant. The only real win con now is if the opponent goes for a bait. It's my huge cojones. Call a bait, and the opponent is a master baiter. Holy smokes, it is going to be a Vigoroth in the back. Surely we can't win this game. Poison Fang is going to lower the opponent's defense. They actually let me get to Poison Fang. Number 2, Vigoroth is going to need to start shielding. However, I go for an undercharge in case the opponent didn't shield. They do commit a shield. I am going to start shielding up absolutely everything. Body Slam draws my first Protect shield. We are going to fire off one more Poison Fang on a CMP. Does the opponent want to commit the final shield? Yes, they do. I can safely shield this up, and I will be able to wing attack farm them all the way down. The opponent switch timer does pop up. They aggressively switch out into Trevenant. You can see the wing attacks have put them into Hydro Cannon range. They fire off the Seed Bomb. It doesn't knock out. We have one more wing attack, and Swampert says, hold my beer. Hi Trevenant, bye Trevenant. When Vigoroth does return, it might think it can counter down, but guess what? We have a whole boatload of energy. Night night. Sleep tight Vigoroth. GG's, and thanks for playing. Moving on to the next battle, we see Alolan Ninetales in the lead as they're on Powder Snow. I do have to stay in as Golbat, despite being a poison type, doesn't really appreciate the Powder Snow damage. We tank the Weather Ball. We are going to return fire with a Hydro Cannon. If the opponent shields, I'll make a pivot into Drapion. The opponent does shield it up. We send in Drapion. The opponent is going to fire off another Weather Ball. On Powder Snow, they are super spammy. It's only 5, then 4 Powder Snows, 2 each charge move. We make the Sludge. The opponent already down 1 shield. Do they respect the Sludge Bomb? They do not. They get 1 shot. And the opponent now sends in a Azumarill. Holy smokes, they are super weak to poison. The opponent already down 1 shield. They've seen we've got Sludge. The opponent lets it go, and we do massive damage. The opponent fires off the Ice Beam as soon as they get it. I am going to allow Drapion to go down. I can now come in with Golbat. I'm going to throw the Poison Fang on 7 just before the next Ice Beam. This will be taking care of Azumarill or drawing the final Protect shield. Down they go. The opponent's final Pokemon is Metachan, and they quickly top left. Speaking of Metachan, this time we see it in the lead. So I'm going to fire off the Hydro Cannon on 7 and look to pivot into my Drapion, as you've seen time and time again in the video. I say time and time again, I think we've only seen about 8 battles, but 3 of them have led Metachan because everyone loves BBML. Drapion absorbs the Ice Punch, and this time they come in to Swampert. It's some Shadow on Shadow Crime. Crunch is going to do massive damage. The opponent lets it go, and Swampert is now deep into the yellow. The opponent doesn't fire off the Hydro as soon as they get it, so Drapion forces a shield from Swampert. They are over farming like crazy. They don't commit to the Mudshot farm down. I am going to allow Drapion to go down. Despite this Swampert being super low, they have got a whole boatload of energy. I come in with Golbat. I'm hoping I can shield once and farm them down. Let's see if we do make it. There's the first Hydro Cannon. Do they make number 2? No, they do not. So we've got a super healthy Golbat. Interesting enough, the opponent returns with Metachan. This is only an Ice Punch. I don't know why you'd bring Metachan out on Golbat. I am going to look to commit to the Wing Attack farm down, and the final Pokemon is Noctowl. I don't really know how I want to play this matchup. I probably should have went to Swampert immediately. However, I did not. The opponent is going to fire for Sky Attack. I am going to have to commit my final Protect shield. I think I'm now going to pivot into Swampert, banking all of that energy. I'm going to fire off the Hydro Cannon. This is either going to force the final shield or knockout. Noctowl chooses to shield up. They can't farm me down, so the opponent is forced to throw. Sky Attack will be taking care of Swampert, and I'm now just going to have to make sure the opponent doesn't catch her. Fire off the first Poison Fang. Poison Fang won't knock out. I pause for a turn, see the opponent doesn't switch. This second Poison Fang is going to take care of knockdown despite having no HP. We have no problem wing attack, farming down Metachan and taking that game. Moving on to the next one. We see Trevenant in the lead. Dreadful, so we pivot out into Drapion. They answer with Metachan. Not the worst matchup for Drapion, but the opponent commits a very early shield, wanting to maintain the correct alignment. I am getting a call, so as I'm super casual, you know how it is, you just got to count a little bit, take a few calls, beat the algorithm, and overcome some tough leads to make sure that you can be the best there ever was. On a more serious note though, we're not in the worst spot. We've got a double defense drop on this Metachan, so I send in Swampert as a damage sponge. If the opponent full sends the Psychic, which they do, I'm going to look to snipe them. With Golbat, we successfully get the snipe, and that final Pokemon is the Flying Toilet. The opponent fires off the Weather Wall as soon as they get it. They win CMP. The opponent probably thinking he's going to go for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and Fang. Well, surprise motherfucker, eat Shadow Ball Pelipper. Near gets one shot. The opponent panic switches back out into Trevenant. The lose con is going to be to bait. So guess what? I'm full sending Shadow Ball number 2, and the opponent shows zero respect. And despite being on the phone, we overcome a very tough lead. Moving on to the next one. We see another Trevenant in the lead. This time, our Drapion Say Switch is met by Wallface. You hate to see Wallface. This thing has about 10,896 HP. It's even bulkier than Umbreon with its 6 million HP stat. You can see with no Aqua Tail, this matchup isn't that great, but Aqua Tail pretty garbage. The opponent is farming up a boatload of energy, so Drapion is going to do what Drapion does best and fire off crunch after crunch. Wallface finally fires off a charge move. I'm not going to be able to flip switch, so I do allow Drapion to go down. I'm going to come in with Swampert. They are going to get to a charge move, but Swampert, despite being a glass cannon, tanks Wallface's energy. No problem whatsoever. We commit to the Mudshot farm down. They bring back in Trevenant. I look to catch the Seed Bomb on my Golbat. Stay in school, kids. Learn to count his 5 Shadow Claws to the Seed Bomb. Despite making a very nice catch, we are in huge trouble. We're getting countered left, right, and centre, as it is Lantern in the back. A really good answer for Golbat. I am going to full send the Shadow Ball, hoping the opponent lets the first one through. However, the opponent does shield it up. I am going to be forced to shield up this Surf. I need Golbat to take out the Trevenant. We have the Earthquake locked and loaded. I'm going to fire off 4 wing attacks and the Poison Fang. This should allow my switch timer to pop up. Can we get a CMP sack swap? I hit the Earthquake. The game gives me a 1-turn swap, so I don't get to hit my move, as we would win CMP. And now we are going to get sparked all the way down. So pretty risky play in the end game, but I think that's the only chance of winning. Sometimes you manage to get it, sometimes you don't. So those were the battles with what I think is the strongest Triple Shadow team for Season 13. So apologies about the lack of content. You can see my voice is in a whole heap of trouble. I've been ill all week and this video has killed me off. So if you appreciate the content and the time and effort I put together to make this video, despite pretty much dying, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. If you like your battles featured on the channel, a link to my battle submission form is down below. And I'm also going to be at Liverpool Regionals at the weekend, running a full Triple Shadow team, or 6-time Shadow team, I suppose. So check out Twitch, and hopefully I will get on the main stage if I can manage to win a few battles. So just like to say thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.